And welcome along to Off the Court, where just like 50 Cent, we've been hanging upside down waiting for our moment to shine. Returning for our regular look at all things Vitality Netball Superleague, our very own halftime show. Scotland head coach Tamsin Greenway. You could do that, hang upside down for about half an hour, couldn't you?
Of course I could. And we're back, Barker. They've let us back on the airwaves. What are they doing?
Yeah, that might soon end. Coming up, we've got the best tactical analysis this side of a touchscreen with 3 quality coaches ready to talk you through what you might have missed. And we are here, we are back, but it's a new home every week on YouTube. You can be part of it too. Use the hashtag #OffTheCourt. Our new home was Greenway, and we're talking about a return home for netball. What have you made of it so far, going back to home venues?
Well, look, there was so much anticipation, wasn't there, for the start of this Super League. The home and away was back. The fans were going to be back in the buildings. So many new signings, new coaches. It was incredible. And so many shocks already, and we're only in round 5. It's been an incredible start, and it definitely hasn't disappointed.
Couple of teams unbeaten, but everyone competing, really, aren't they? I know we've had some injury problems too, a little bit of illness still with COVID around, but you go into every match and you think, actually, that team will put a score on.
Yeah, there's been a huge step up across the board in terms of the talent and the tactical that we're seeing as well from what the coaches are delivering. I've been really impressed with what I've seen so far, and kind of gone are the days when you can just offload your bench at half time and think you're going to be fine. And we're actually seeing that in some of the matchups and how teams are pushing right to the very end. So we are definitely seeing a shift in a very good direction.
Right, let's get on with it. Each week we will go in depth on our game of the week, team and coaching play. And this week we've a quarter of the season to go out already. So let's start with our game of the season so far. I mentioned 2 unbeaten sides, Thunder and Lightning. You could go for those. I mean, you could go for Thunder's record score against Dragons. There was Surrey Storm edging out Bath, Thunder beating Mavericks too, which was just insane. Where are you going to go for?
Well, I have to go with the first, what can I call it, shock defeat, London Pulse beating Team Bath. And it was very early on in the rounds. It was live on Sky, and I think everyone just took a step back and went, wow, this is going to be a good season. Incredible play from the Pulse. I think at one point they went 10-3 up. Bath forced to make some really early changes, which actually didn't pay any of their advantages, and it was the first time we saw this young Pulse side and sort of stars of the future, really. We knew it was coming, it was just when it was going to happen, and they showed us very early on. If you take a couple of look at some of these clips, this is the full court defence pressure from Pulse, and they cause Bath all kinds of problems having to go back to the line. But of course, do not take your eyes off Fumi Fadoju, because she was impressive in this game. I think she got 6 intercepts, 11 deflections and 9 turnovers. But what was great is look at the pressure on Sophie Drakeford-Lewis on this ball. She was so uncomfortable putting the ball up in that first quarter. An early turnover for Pulse. Again, watch Fadoju's movement, and this is why she's top of the deflections board. She's on 34 because her range and her speed to recover is so impressive. What I loved was the transition through the court from London Pulse and how dominant they were on the feed. Ratu in complete control at centre and Sheen under the post. Bearing in mind she was playing against Layla Guskoth for much of this match. She ended up shooting 42 from 47. But there's so many stars in the team. Ratu here, you're going to watch, take the centre pass, get this ball back. Look at her feed and vision to Sheen. This is a dream partnership in the making, and 2 real stars of the future you're going to see. Ratu ended up with 18 feeds, and it was just her fearlessness in the way she was prepared to let ball go. You're going to watch her again coming through the court here at centre, and look at that ball in. Now, I've left this in because Sheen missed a couple of early shots against Guskoth, who started to get in ahead, but she didn't falter. And that was so impressive from this Pulse side. And look at that bench. So young. We've seen Jada Petrova, we've seen Alicia Scholes, I mean, Kira Rothwell, Sarah Everett, the list goes on. And I really think in the next couple of years, these players are going to make a real impact, not only for London Pulse, but also for the English Roses.
Can you see my smile? Why does you like? And it is one of those teams that you watch, and if you're a neutral, you go, I mean, probably everyone's going to shout at me and say, no, there's no neutrals in this game. But they are one of those sides you just want to see do well. And you're right, it's ominous, isn't it, for the next few years for the rest of the league?
Yeah, well, you keep that group together and they're going to be frightening because I talked about it early on. They're like a young team Bath side to me when we were in the early days. You know, your Jiva Mentors, your Ebony So Browns, your Serena Guthrie's, your Pamela Cookies, Rachel Dunn, all these players started coming through. And it was so exciting and it took a while for them to build. And look, I don't think they're the finished article yet. They've still got so much to learn, but they've got the real makings of what could be a core group as long as they keep themselves together.
So that's your game so far. But next up, we're going to go for coaching move. Now, for me, I'm looking for, I don't know, some coach that's thrown 6 players on, or maybe 7. Throw them all on, take them all off, and completely change the game. But what are you looking for before I bring our guest in?
Well, I'm going to go into a bit more depth, only a little bit. But what I'm looking for is the tactical. You know, the way that they've done their homework and maybe exposed another team, an individual player, or how they've got a unit to consistently work well together, which leads us very nicely into the group that I've picked, which is Manchester Thunder and their attacking end, and in particular, how they've got Joyce Mvula and Ellie Cardwell to work together so incredibly.
This combination is on fire, and there's only one leader that can take such talent and drive them forward. Well, I think you'd have a good go at it too, Tamsin, actually. But anyway, let's bring in Karen Greig, head coach at Manchester Thunder. Hopefully she can hear the fact that we've been talking about this talent that is there. So many teams in the league. But Karen Greig, nice to have you with us on Off the Court. For your team, hopefully you can hear me. There you go. There's the smile. Your team, this attacking threat, we picked you as our coaching threat of the week, the number one coach in terms of so far this season, the move that Tamsin's seen. You're going to totally embarrass Karen now. What is it, Tamsin, about this 3 up front or this attacking threat of Manchester Thunder before we see the clips that gets you excited?
Well, look, I know they brought Nat Metcalf in, but actually for me, it's how they've got Ellie Cardwell and Joyce Mvula, 2 real dominant forces in the circle, to work together successfully. And I think if we were a little bit critical last season, that's probably where it started to happen, but didn't always get over the line. Well, this season they are unstoppable. They're averaging something like 71 goals a game. I think the highest has been 79, the lowest 59 goals. I mean, what happened? They've stood up to a real test, which was Mavericks last week, this week in the rounds, and then backed it up again with a massive performance against Wasps. So I just want to pick out these clips and show what I've highlighted. It's really the work between Cardwell and Mvula that's important. Cardwell getting this first phase and the depth to Metcalf, leaving Mvula in the circle one-on-one. I mean, not one defender can match up to her strength and power when she's under the post and Metcalf is in that position. But it's the variation. Just watch this next clip we're going to show. The depth Ellie Cardwell trusts. Look, she's sitting at the top of the circle, so she just pops out here, takes a ball, and then casually as you like, offloads it to Mvula. And you don't underestimate the playmaking of Ellie Cardwell. So Nat Metcalf has always got an outlet, and so has Caroline O'Hanlon. And then there is, of course, Mvula on the move. We saw this a little bit last season and we all went, oh, wow, Mvula's out the circle. But look, that has massively helped because this year now it's working so well. So as O'Hanlon picks up the ball, look at Mvula come out. Now, what is so vital about this is look at the post up from Cardwell. It isn't put in there, but as she comes around, the mismatch on most goal defences this season is an absolute nightmare. And there's 3 different styles of play, and they're only the 3. This is before you add in the screens, the roles, the plays together, is making a real impact of this team.
Well done, Karen Greig. Look what you've done. Has Tamsin got it right there? Is all that planned for? And this beautiful combination that's come together?
Yeah, I think as T knows, you've got to be forever evolving your players and your squad and, you know, what you're able to throw at opposition. I'm actually sat here doing my performance analysis from last night, so and I know a lot of other coaches do exactly the same. So you're constantly looking at who you're coming up against, looking at where you can create those mismatches or matches and how players play up against each other. And it's important that we're able to break other teams down or throw something different at teams. And getting Joyce out the circle, for instance, is something that we've been working on and evolving evolving, for probably the last 18 months now, and it doesn't just happen overnight. It's, Joyce has been so used to being that strong, dominant force in that circle on that hold, that her actual distribution around the circle edge wasn't fantastic. So yeah, she loves coming out, she loves that freedom, and she'll tell you she wants to play goal attack. But it's all about, can we get Joyce's distribution? What do those options look like when Joyce comes out the circle? She needs to know that she has got 4 clear options and where they're coming from towards her, to enable Eleanor to go into the circle and play that post up, or whether they start looking at the screens and playing off of each other in there. So it's an ever-evolving circle, really, and I think it plays to both their strengths, because we know Eleanor as a goal attack, she isn't the quickest, she isn't the most mobile, but again, we've been looking at her circle entry, the timing of the circle entry, how she can actually land in spaces to create something with our centre court, and I think that's really been coming to fruition in the start of this season.
I know, Tamsin, you want to get into it with Karen a bit more, but from your point of view, Tamsin, as well, we've seen Nat Metcalf, who you're incredibly familiar with, go out to goal attack. I've embarrassed Karen before and said that I think this is the best attacking threat in the league at the moment. Do you think so?
Yeah, I totally agree. And look, the introduction of Nat Metcalf just gives them options. It gives them far more options. And Greggy will know this. You come to the back end of the season and you want to throw something different out at a Lightning or a Mavericks. And that actually helped against Saracen Mavericks this week. It just gives the defenders something else to go, oh, God. And this is not just, no disrespect to a youngster coming on. This is, oh, Nat Metcalf's gone to goal attack. Like, oh, how do we manage this? And I think those options are going to be crucial for any team wanting to go on and win the league. I think what's really important is I don't think people at home understand almost how much work you have to do individually with the player. You talked about Mvula there, wants to play out a goal attack, brilliant, but her offloading is crucial in that. So there's not only the tactical element you have to pull in there, but there's also the upskilling of a player. And Greggy, you guys are known for bringing through young players. Like, how much time do you spend on creating that ultimate player that helps with your tactical then elements?
Yeah, I think, you look at it, and as we say, probably a good 18 months, 2 years with Joyce, really, to get her out into those positions and working on a distribution, her understanding of a re-entry. And, within our pathway, we've got a Thunder way, we've got ways that we like to play, and I think it's really important, though, that we're teaching them elements of the circle early. How do you play a screen? When do you play a screen? What does that look like? How do you use your body? And I think the technical elements that you're able to give players is crucial, because you can't just say to a player, oh, that was dada, you needed to drive at that back defender and then overload the front defender and, something will happen. They've got to have the technical elements that they're able to play that. So how do you actually shut down a defender? What does that look like? And I think for us it takes a long time, and we have a Wednesday morning session, for instance, where it's a lot more individualised. So our main team sessions we do on a Tuesday and a Thursday night, and then a Wednesday morning we get the players that are able to come in on a Thursday, and that's when we really start to get down to the nitty gritty of the technical stuff, how we can link together anything that's been highlighted specific from games previously. And it takes time, and I think for coaches it's about being patient and not expecting things to just happen overnight, because it doesn't, and you've got to allow the failure as well at times and understand that the failure is going to happen. And we're seeing that at the other end of the court at the minute with some of our young defenders, but you've got to allow that learning curve to happen. So there's a lot of time and investment, and I would say to any coach out there, you're going to get frustrated and there's going to be stuff that goes wrong, but it's the only way people are going to learn.
You're going to hate me for what I'm about to ask you. Is this your best squad?
I don't know if it's our best squad. I think we've got a well-rounded squad that complement each other. I love the balance that we've got with our youth and our experience this year. The youth that we've got this year are hungry. Their attitude is bang on, right where we want it to be. They're constantly asking questions of those senior players. We can't rule out the loss of losing Amy Carter in pre-season and losing Ellie and McCormick in pre-season as well. That was huge for us. And I think if we had those guys in the squad this year, I'd probably say, yeah, hands down, it's our best squad. But they're still in and around the group. They're training with us. They're doing really well with their rehab. And, don't underestimate these youngsters that are coming through, because, yes, they're young, they're 17, 18, 19, but, that they want to play for Manchester Thunder, and they're thriving every single day, learning off your Nats, your Lauras, your Eleanors, your Kerry. Kerry is fantastic with those young defenders in the back. So I'm happy we've got a well-rounded squad, and I'm excited to see how far we can go this season.
I'm going to say that as almost a yes. Almost a yes. Tamsin might have another question for you. But just lastly from me, Karen, I saw you all went clay pigeon shooting and you've tried to bond. How tough was it during COVID not having that sort of bonding that you've now been able to do? And apart from clay pigeon shooting, what else have you been up to as a team?
I think anybody who knows Manchester Thunder know that we're quite a social team, and I know not very often sometimes teams are tight. Sometimes there's always characters in teams that might be a little bit different, but we're really proud that we're able to say as a group, it doesn't matter, we've got 17-year-olds and 36-year-olds in the squad. They actually get on really, really well together, and they love a social. And I think, during COVID, it was difficult for them because they like to bond socially in pubs and places like that, as I'm sure other teams do as well. So it was difficult, but the leadership team last year were fantastic in finding other ways of how they can actually bond. We had makeup sessions, false tan sessions and all sorts. The youngsters are teaching the oldies how to do their makeup properly and that kind of stuff. So I know the girls have already planned a team meal out in a couple of weeks, for instance. I think it's Yomi's 18th in a few weeks. So they're all over the social, how they can keep building, that amazing rapport that they've got with each other.
That was the first thing you did pre-season. It was the old tanning booth sessions, wasn't it, Tamsin?
Well, as much as I want to get into the fake tan, and I do, Greggy, we'll take this offline. I just have one quick question. Can you just give me a word on Shadeen van der Merwe? Because she was one of the signings of the season. Everyone was very excited to have her back in the league. We saw her back on court against Wasps in round 5, which is amazing. Thoughts on, was she, well, I was talking about it last night. I was saying she the final piece of the jigsaw puzzle. How pleased are you to have her in there?
Yeah, I mean, she's, for those people that know Shadeen, she's an amazing person. What she actually brings to the team so far in the changing rooms, having not even hit the court, has been phenomenal. She's worked really hard on a rehab, and she was so excited to get back on court last night. And I think what Shadeen brings us, I think you mentioned it as well in your comms last night, Caroline, was the flexibility that she's going to allow us across that line. We've struggled probably in the first 5 games to have that flexibility with the inexperience that we would have potentially had on the line. So I think, Shadeen she's a really dogged, tagging player. She's a really smart player, sees opportunities to win ball, which is, key for us at this point. So, she's definitely going to give us that flexibility, whether she's in goal defence or wing defence. We stick her in wing defence, we can keep working on these youngsters in that goal defence area. We can shift Malks into the centre, and we've got that tight unit in the back there, really defensively, with a defensive centre in there. If we leave her at goal defence, we've got Malks and Yaz who can slip into that wing defence position. So, I think she provides us options, and I think it's fantastic to have her back. And I think we saw glimpses of what she's capable of doing last night. I think she turned over a couple of balls, and I think once she's match fit and got that sharpness back, I'm excited to see how she goes over it.
Karen, thank you so much for coming on. You are our first coaching moment of the season. I've got no doubt that we'll hear much more from you when it comes to those tactics throughout the season too. Thank you for coming on Off the Court, and hopefully we'll speak to you again soon.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Karen Greig, Manchester Thunder's Karen Greig, joining us on Off the Court. And the thing about Shadeen van der Merwe as well is that she wanted to come to Thunder. She got in touch with them, and when you see a player want to be part of that, that tells you all you need to know, doesn't it, about the coaching setup and what they're doing at Thunder.
Yeah, and I love that story. I love the fact that she was the one that was proactive and said, yeah, that's where I want to play, that's what I want to do. And I think it's going to really fit her style. I think it's going to grow her game. We know how dominant the South African players have been over the past few seasons and years in the UK Super League. So, yeah, an incredible signing for Thunder. And as Greggy alluded to, not only a dominant force on the court, but what she brings off the court as well is going to be crucial for that group.
Did did you say off the court? Oh, you're so on brand. We've
Oh.
done game, coach.
Hashtag.
What about surprise so far? I'm going to go for you getting Ed Sheeran tickets, which you seem very surprised at. Or maybe actually Rachel Dunn. She was getting perilously close to playing like a centre against Manchester Thunder. She was everywhere, was Rachel Dunn. Still got it in her legs. But you want to pick out a few players, and you want to start with Lefebvre Raderman and also Georgia Rowe at Dragons.
Yeah, I do. So Danny Titmus-Morris, new coach in at Dragons. We wondered what style, what kind of dynamic they were going to bring. Haven't won a game yet, but so much better from the Celtic Dragons we saw last season and really developing and involving their attacking play. Raderman and Rowe were going to pick up here. It's just the partnership they're developing and just the way they complement each other. Again, we talk about shooters on the move. Look at Rowe just exiting the circle and Raderman able to move, offload, look at the post, look at this trick to then go round and go and take the hit from Jodie Gibson, allowing her to get close to the post, and then just the confidence to offload that ball to Rowe. They're just really growing together, and that's great to see. Allowing Raderman to do that playmaking, Rowe bringing much more into a game, getting stronger on the take. You're going to watch this other centre pass here, and again, just keep your eye on Rowe, just little offload here, and look at the roll from Raderman to get herself back into position and take that ball, causing all kinds of problems for defence, and then confidence to go to the post. It's not just your typical lob it into the tall shooter. You're seeing more come from Rowe's game. You're seeing Raderman take on this playmaking, something that I've discussed in the past. Raderman's got a great potential at goal attack. Sometimes I've been critical in the past of her going missing a little bit. Well, she's certainly not missing at Celtic Dragons. She's stepping up. She's developing that circle. And I hear they're getting a really good partnership off the court as well. They're talking to each other about, really bringing on each other's games. So important for two international players. Rowe, who you'll see for Wales at the Commonwealth Games, and Raderman, I'm sure, will be in that South African dress.
And I'm happy for Rowe because so often we've gone, right, she's got it. She's got that within her armoury. And now to see her standing up and performing, and that confidence as well that you see from her shoulders through to the tips of her fingers. Talking about a change in player, we saw Alicia Scholes leave Manchester Thunder, head down to London with Pulse, and a different player, or we're seeing the best of her now?
Look, I think Scholes has got heaps of potential. I saw her play for the under-21s when Scotland had a little opportunity against her, which was amazing. And I've picked her out because, this wing attack issue that we talk about in England all the time, who's the next one coming through? I think she's got it. I think she's got it all. She's got to develop her game. But look, take it here. Look at her speed on the centre pass and look at this movement, the roll off Gabby Marshall to play herself into pocket. And then the delivery and offload to Sheen, total confidence. Look, she's young. She's exciting. She's got every aspect that a young wing attack needs. It's now how she brings it out into the game. Moving to Pulse was a risk. She was a training partner, remember. But just watch her again in the corner. Just look at this change of direction against Sakudale. Bump into there and then quite happy. This is what I look for from a wing attack. Look, just let the ball go. There you go, into Sheen. Again, building that combination. I know we've seen this a million times on social from Sheen, but Scholes doesn't go missing and just does the simple stuff well. It was a risk moving to Pulse. She did go as a training partner. She's got her gig now. She's getting into the squad. She's getting opportunities. I just think we need to keep an eye on her. I think she's a real character. I think it's just what our game needs. I think she's cocky and confident on court, something I love. As a wing attack, give her the ball, get on the ball, make things happen. And I think we need to keep an eye on her.
You're going to say it is the position on court that we probably don't talk about enough. I know we said enough, okay, who's going to be the backup for England? Who's going to be there? But actually, you need that wing attack to have that attitude, don't you? Because in those pressure moments, they got to thread that pass.
And they can do it in different ways. Nat Metcalfe, I could never bring that attitude out of her because she's just not that character, but she brings it in different parts, the way she leads her teams, hence why she's got captaincy roles and stuff and why she's dominating so much of the English Roses. But just because someone's different, don't underestimate what they're going to bring. And I like that feistiness of Alicia Scholes. You watch her on defence, she does not hold back. If you can rein that in, the next few seasons will be important for her. Who develops her, who gives her free rein to let her understand what her role is as a wing attack. If they can do that, I think we've got a real star on our making.
Next up, talking of stars, it was a clash for the ages when Saracens Mavericks took on Manchester Thunder. Manchester Thunder coming away with the win. But this Mavericks side just look like they've had an injection. They're bouncing all over court. They are players playing with that confidence.
Oh, and the big C, the consistency, the Maverick side we've been looking for. Look, it was a risk. When I saw their lineup this season, I was like, you've not changed anything. What's going to be different? But this is different. This is the first game of the season. I picked this deliberately. Turnover for Mavericks. This is where we've seen ball thrown away. But look at the composure from Corbin. She just holds it, waits. Same thing here. Look at this step. Waits for the change from Betha Crudell, who, by the way, is playing exceptionally well. The roll around from Kadeen and the flair that pays off. We are seeing this far more from Mavericks. That was a ball where I'd usually see it ping off the sideline. Look, it's not perfect. They're still having their moments, but they are playing really well. They took it to Thunder in round 5. They won their first 4 games. They have built this unit and this team. I think Sasha Corbin's playing the best I've seen her play in years. She's incredible. Venter, wow, where has this come from? She's this stand-up and deliver shooter, and it's just paying. And I think Beth Crudell, who I was talking about, I think she's added that stability that they need in the middle to bring Mavericks home. They will make finals. I have no doubt in my mind that they will be that top 4 team because they're just playing so well. I can't see where it'll go wrong for them.
Those are some of Tamsin's good surprises this season, but up next you're going to annoy as many people as possible with your team of the season so far. You can join the debate, use the hashtag #OffTheCourt. No, really, we love to annoy you. You are watching Off the Court. We're back and with the biggest guests in town. And they come no bigger than our A-lister, Lisa Alexander. I mean, that's really bad, isn't it? And totally doesn't work. But London Pulse's finest is with us. Hi, Lisa.
Hello, how are you?
Oh, we're very well and delighted to have you with us on the first of this season's Off the Court. It's been one of those seasons so far when we've gone, wow, there's another surprise. There's another surprise. Wow, look at those players. And you won't have heard it yet, but you can watch it back. Tamsin has been raving over London Pulse. How have you found it and how pleased are you with what you Londoners are doing?
Well, I'm very pleased that we're, according to my calculations, but of course Loughborough have to play another game, we're, I think, the second best defensive team in the league, which is one of the key areas we wanted to really work on and focus on. So I'm very pleased with that, particularly having played, 3 teams ahead of us in who are currently sitting ahead of us on the ladder. So it's going to be very interesting when we get our chance against Manchester Thunder, because obviously the best attacking team in the league, and to work on unpicking them is going to be fun.
Well, we've just had Karen Greig on, haven't we, Tamsin? And you talked about them having, and I talked about it too. I won't throw you under the bus, but we both talked about them having one of the best of attacks. Just to embarrass Lisa as performance director now at London Pulse. Tamsin, you agree with that defensively with Pulse?
Yeah, of course. And one of the things I was picking up on, Lisa, is just how exciting the young players are. So we talk about Fumi Fadoju, who has been incredible, but it's Zara Everett, the work rate she's doing, and just how they're combining together. I want to ask this, because obviously coming over from Australia, it was big news when you came to London Pulse. We were all very excited. How much did you know about these young players? Because it's actually quite hard to access a lot of information about some of our youngsters coming through. So what did you know about this group, and how impressed have you been working with them?
Oh, look, I remember watching Fumi in one of our first practice matches we had against the English Roses. It was back in November, because they had the series against Jamaica, and we were invited up for a closed session. And just seeing her work then, we also had one of our young, who's now in the English international area, Jada Pecheva. And, the two of them together, I couldn't believe it. They were just winning ball all over the place. But it was set on a platform of I guess, a philosophy that the whole team contributes to our defensive effort. So we really have worked hard on making sure we have that team approach to defence. So it's not just reliant on, Fumi taking her great intercepts, but that's built on the pressure that we're creating down the court on centre pass defence, and also, if our attack end turned the ball over. I think they kept us in the game against Wasps at the start because we were, fumbling the ball so much and not getting that flow in our attack, and they just turned the ball over up in the attack end. So whilst I'm amazed at the individual skills, particularly of Fumi, she's also, and she would say this herself, she's grabbing the benefits of great pressure out the front on every ball. That's our commitment.
Well, it won't be a surprise that Fumi does actually make your 7. We asked you 7 players to pick. Tamsin, good just to get the debate going on social media, not to accuse you of anything at all. Use the hashtag off the court. You went for Kwashi at goalkeeper, Gusketh at goal defence, Fumi Fadoju at wing defence, Cobden at centre, Metcalf at wing attack, McCall at goal attack, and Proscovia Peace, for those asking, that is how she will be referred to now. That is actually the name on her passport. So Proscovia Peace at goal shooter. Let's talk about Fadoju then at wing defence, Tamsin. She's lighting everyone's eyes up.
Yeah, she is. I talked about her being the leader in the deflections at the moment with 34. I think everybody underestimates her range. I don't know how many times I've said on commentary, why are people throwing ball there? But as a wing attack who knows you get sucked into that, you just don't, you can't, you sort of underestimate what she can get to and what she can recover to. I've put her there in wing defence because I wanted her playing with Guskos as a goal defence, because I think those two together with Kwashi at the back would be absolutely incredible. But I think picking up on what Lisa said, it's about those combinations. Fumi doesn't just magically turn ball. She has individual talent, which is second to none and something that so many players, would die for. But it is about how the players are working around her. I've been so impressed with what Ratu does and with what Everett does, and the work rate of players like Decker. That intense pressure and the arms over allows Fumi more time to go and win stuff. And you talked about Jada as well. What an exciting talent to come in there at goalkeeper. There is just so much going on in that team, and that's kind of where I was going with my starting 7. Who can you bolster these players around? Who stood up individually, but also if you were tactically taking that group, what could you do with them? And I think a Fumi working with a Guskoth, by the way, English Roses, have a look at that, with a Kwashi could be very, very exciting.
Well, let's ask also, you that, Lisa.
Yeah, further to
would
that, I think them? I didn't answer the other part of the question, which was what was, did I know much about them? I didn't really know a lot. You're right, and I was really impressed when I arrived at London Pulse and saw, the athleticism and the skill level. It still needs work, but it was surprising to me. And, the Australians, that's myself, Sasha and McDonald, and also Taylor Honey, have been pleasantly surprised with how intense and competitive the Super League is here. And, it's physical, it's fast. It's really impressed me so far.
I did a total body block on you then and laid you out flat on the court and tried to talk over you by asking whether you think Fadoju should be in that England setup. You yourself, as the former Aussie Diamonds coach, would you be afraid? Well, no, you wouldn't. You're never afraid of anything. But if Fadoju was lining up against you, would you take her to the Commonwealth Games?
Well, if I didn't have all the politics of dancing around me, around a national team, because that's what people don't understand. I think Tamsin will start to begin to understand that now, coaching Scotland. There's more to it than just having who you want. There's lots of bureaucratic layers in this whole process to get people into teams and so forth. And Look, I would take the risk. I don't think Fumi's perfect by any stretch of the imagination. There's areas that she can definitely improve on, but she provides an X factor, and that's what you need actually in your your 12. You need that X factor. So for me, I would, but it's not as simple. I'm not coaching the team. Jess is, and she's got her plan in mind, and she's got the culture of the team that she's created and the teamwork. And I think that's what I'm trying to say about, this is always a decision around individual brilliance versus what players can bring to a team, and ultimately win a tournament, which takes a lot of effort and grind, and it's not just about how many deflections or intercepts a particular player's taken.
We will put your team of the season so far, Tamsin, up on social with a hashtag off the court and on the Vitality Netball Superleague social as well. So just a reminder again, Peace, McCall, Metcalf, Cobden, Fadoju, Gusketh and Quashie are your 7. Any other players that you've come up against so far? I'm sure you'd have your whole team in there, Lisa, but any of the other players that you've come up against in the league that you've thought, gosh, they're a surprise?
Oh, I think Ina Marie Ventnor's been absolutely solid and outstanding. She's really, really difficult to mark. We've talked about her quite a lot, and her positioning is really strong, plus she's got the movement side of it. So she'll be a real thorn in everyone's side. And she obviously, I know they narrowly lost to Thunder, but she's a big part of how Mavs are playing well. She really anchors their end well. And, I've been impressed with the Corbins. I think they've been doing some really nice stuff too. They've been disciplined, much more disciplined than I've seen them in the past, and just getting the job done for their team and being relentless actually in both attack and defence. So they've done a really good job. And the line of Cobden and Fran Williams, that was really difficult. That transverse line, that defensive transverse line was tough. I know it was only, Fran was only on for the half, but they really suffocated us in attack. So I was very impressed with them too.
And Tamsin, that's your key always, isn't it? Those combinations, and probably why you've gone for this 7. And as an international coach now, what you're looking at.
Yeah, of course. And it's funny, Lisa, because you haven't seen the top of our show, but you basically picked out everything we've talked about so far with the Mavericks consistency and the Corbins. We the same. And Venter, I don't know where that's come from. She's been absolutely outstanding. But look, combinations are crucial. And actually, when I look at this, there'll be eyebrows because I've put Cobden into the middle. I've gone heavy defence because I trust the fact that Metcalf can open up any defensive unit and is a playmaker. So get on the ball nice and early. Then you do the partnership. Praskovia Peace, 2-2-5, top shooter in the competition at the moment, is taking ball from everywhere. You back that up with Niamh McCall, and suddenly you look at this and go as a coach, oh, this is exciting. Think of the tactical things I could bring to this game. And going back to what Lisa was saying, that is where you look at it. This is not always just about one person. This is about who you're facing, how that one person fits into your unit, who works well with them, what else do they bring, and that's where the combinations are crucial.
Lisa, the final big question from us, what's the target this season then?
Oh, well, I think we always put it out there. We wanted to finish off ahead of where we were last year. I think it was 8th position, but we want to have a bigger goal in mind. So making that top 4 is very much part of what we want to achieve. It's not going to be easy because, I think particularly Loughborough Lightning's really improved. It seems they've improved their team since last year. Their defence, I think, is better. And I think their centre court is still operating at an extremely high level, and they're going to be hard to stop, I think. And they seem to be wanting wanting to prove that to everyone as well. Like every game they go out there, they're really wanting to show that. So that's impressive. So if we can make that top four, we'll be absolutely delighted. And you never know. I think, we've got work to do. We know that. But, these games that we've got in front of us, we've got to win these games. These are the games when you're expected to win, you've got to win.
Lisa, thanks for coming on. Brilliant to watch these young roses bloom too. And I don't think I've said that in commentary, so we'll get that cliche away now. Lisa Alexander, thank you for coming on Off the Court.
Thank you.
Always good to have Lisa on, and you always get that opinion. Same with Karen too. What am I saying? We've got brilliant coaches across the Super League who aren't afraid to talk, and that's why watching it every week is a joy. There are, though, some areas for improvement, shall we say. And this is always a difficult one, Tamsin, because if we're looking at teams that could improve, it could be maybe something that you've seen over the weeks that you think, oh, that wasn't quite right, but where those tweaks need to happen. So we'll take a negative to a positive. If there's a team that you think can work on something.
Yeah, I'm going to pick out Leeds Rhinos. And look, this is a team I picked at the start of the season. There was no reason for them to be not pushing for top four. They've kept majority of the squad together. One of the sort of things in pre-season was probably the signing of the three big shooters. So they retained Sienna Rushton, of course, lost Anel Wallum, but then brought in Ziggy Berger and Amy Clinton, and everybody's kind of eyebrows raised and went, okay, well, what's going to happen here? How are you going to keep that group happy and maintained and stuff? And Tracy Robinson, a new coach, has come in from Australia and has had to take on that bulk of the squad. So I think for me, Rhinos, they're 2 from 4 at the moment. They're doing some really good stuff defensively, relentless, as we've seen them before. But it's just the finishing touches. And one of the big things I've seen is, I think so far already, they've played 7 different attacking combinations from wing attack to goal shooter, which is crazy considering we're only in round 5. So I've picked out these clips and just where this can be a little bit of problem. This was against Surrey Storm. They lost this game. And it's just, you're going to pick up Bree Grierson coming into the ball here and take. This ball, when you're connecting with a shooter, should go to Sienna Rushton. Both of these. She ends up getting a held ball, just not confident to let it go. And the knock-on effect of keep switching your shooters, and they did it every quarter in this game, is huge. You're going to see Amelia Hall come on the ball here in a moment. Doesn't look in, swings the ball across, comes back and gets it. And just this misplacement to Ziggy Berger, who had re-entered the game after being on, being off, being on. And a lot of their errors were going into this attack end, whether it was on the shot or whether it was the feed. And again, in the last quarter, Bree Grierson not putting enough on the ball to Sienna Rushton. Now, of course, teams are going to throw ball away. Errors are going to happen. However, you want to sort of limit them as much as possible and take a lot of the noise out of it. And by continuously switching your shooters, your wing attacks, your goal attacks, you're creating havoc for an attack end that needs to feel quite settled in pressure games. They had big opportunities against Surrey Storm and never really took it to them. Storm were classy, played very well. But I think unless Rhinos can cement this unit up front and bring on impact changes, they're going to struggle with some of those crucial errors because, as a wing attack, myself who used to play, you get comfortable with certain people and that matters when you're under heaps of pressure, and I think it's something that Rhinos will need to address.
Did you used to play? Were you a player? Wing attack
I've said that a few times.
Tamsin Greenway. There's only one other thing I want to say, and I don't want to go further than this. Firebirds, Danelle Wallum, what are you doing? Hopefully by the time you watch this, be signed up and sorted. That's it. That's all we got to say, because other things don't need to be said. Right, on to what's coming up then. Friday, Team Bath against Thunder. That one's live streamed. Saturday, Pulse Stars, Sirens, Storm. And then for me, the game of the round, Lightning, Loughborough Lightning against Mavericks. We've seen Mavericks try and wrestle away that unbeaten bond from Thunder and didn't happen. Will they get more joy against Lightning, also unbeaten?
I think it's going to be really close. I think it's been a tight game. I think Loughborough will do it. It's really interesting, isn't it? Because we bigged up Thunder, we've bigged up Mavericks. We haven't really gone into the detail of Loughborough, who are just going along the radar at the moment, doing what they do, winning games under new coach Vicky Burgess. They are just consistently playing well. Lisa Alexander touched on them improving their defence end. They really have, with Fran Williams and Zam Vimbella in there. And Mary Chollock down the other end, add in Nat Panagari, Beth Cobden. They are just playing so well. I think they're just ticking along really, really nicely. I'm looking forward to that matchup. Two big defensive units going at each other. And how do you shut down the shooters? You know, Chollock down one end, Venter down the other. Good luck, coaches, this week.
I love it. Love it. And that's what's making the league so interesting. As is actually watching you in a yellow jumper and a meme going out with, I think it was Tom Noakes on Twitter, put Manchester Thunder, I love Thunder on the jumper, which works. That was one of the social moments of the week. The other social moment of the week, though, has to go to little Alfie. And this was in the Sirens game, which was just brilliant. We've seen it in rugby league, I think, when they were delivering the ball. And this is Alfie. Rupert and Mickey Austin in commentary just loved it when he came on with the ball, and he actually delivered it perfectly and then drove off. So that's got to be one of the social moments of the week. G. Abernethy taking the ball gratefully, and then he put his foot to the floor and drove off court. What a moment. The crowd loved it. The players loved it. We loved it too. So Alfie, you belong and deserve to be our moment of the week. Well, that's it from us on the show. A reminder, we'll be here every week on YouTube. It's our new home for this season. You use the hashtag #OffTheCourt to get involved. We are here on the Vitality Netball Superleague YouTube channel. You can subscribe for highlights, the games, added content, and us. What more could you want? But from myself and from Tamsin, I mean, she may have played wing attack. She may be coach of Scotland, but I'm the one that gets to say goodbye. Goodbye.